And welcome to another edition of the Traction Reaction Podcast. I'm Steve Zautke. Joining us, it's David Hobbs. We're at Sebring, where the 1,000-kilometer race, WEC, is on. And tomorrow you're going into the Sebring Hall of Fame.
I am indeed, Stephen. I'm very honoured too, indeed. With a group of... I thought they were scraping the bottom of the bar when they got around to me, after all these years. But then, my co-inductees are Jackie Hicks, Stefan Johansson, Andy Wallace, and of course Walter Cronkite, who people are watching racing say, Walter who?
Right.
Well, apparently Walter Cronkite actually did drive here back very early on in the 50s when this place was just budding. So
he was a big supporter in the SCCA back in the day and was a big race fan. In the 50s and into the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all being inducted. It used to be they had a dinner and an induction, but then the COVID came along and everything's changed. So we're now going to be introduced on the grid. We're going to do the driver introductions, then introduce us, and then of course the race will start. So it'll be tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock.
And your first time you drove here was 69, was it?
68.
68.
With the Ford GT40 with Gulf.
Oh, okay.
With Paul Hawkins, when he had the famous altercation with the Javelin, driven by an all-female crew down at turn 5. He says they turned into him. They say he ran into them. So whoever it was, but it was very famous at the time because Paul made some very inappropriate comments in the press room. Don't forget, Sebring wasn't like this then. There was a little tiny press room above the pit lane. And he made some very inappropriate comments about women and drivers and where women should really be in the world, not on the racetrack. So we'll leave it at that.
Yes. And in 69, you drove here in Formula 5000.
Well, I came back in 69 with the GT40 again for the 12-hour, and with Mike Hailwood. And then later on in the year, right just after Christmas, we came back to the Formula 5000, which I won. I came home, did Christmas at home, flew here on what we call Boxing Day, day after Christmas, drove the car, won the race, went home again. And I lost the championship by winning that race. I managed to lose the championship by 1 point, having only done half the races, so really it was pretty good.
And then what are some of your other memories you have here at Sebring?
Well, I came here in a BMW 320 in 1977 or 8. I think it'd probably be 78. And I broke the lap record by a significant margin to get pole position. And was accused by some of missing a corner out somewhere. I don't think I did. But we didn't finish the race, unfortunately. And I was on the pole here with Mark Donoghue in 1971, of course.
In the Ferrari. Everybody's favorite Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The most famous blue Ferrari.
The most expensive Ferrari in the world.
Too.
Well, not in the world, but the most expensive 512. Yep. So, a lot of memories here, Stephen.
So what's your most memorable broadcast?
Well, actually, probably the most memorable broadcast here would have been the first one that I did here, which would be back on ESPN, back in the late 80s. And the play-by-play was David Spain. And we did the whole 12 hours in the booth, which then was over the pits. So it wasn't exactly soundproof. So it was a pretty noisy 12 hours with David Spain. He was a great guy.
Duty calls.
We're going to take a break here as David sells some books. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
So broadcasting, one of your most memorable ones was the first ESPN broadcast. Was it David Despain?
With David Despain, and we were in the booth over the pits. I mean, it wasn't really soundproof, so it was pretty noisy. And I did a number of shows, and then of course we moved to Speed in '96, and they got eventually they got the rights for IMSA, so we did a lot of IMSA races, including this one again. And so I suppose I've done about 10 broadcasts from here altogether.
Was it easier or harder, like Dave Despain with the technology, and let's say in the last 5 years ago, or the last times, with Lee Diffie and that crew and those guys, with all the technology, was it broadcast harder or easier in a way?
No, it didn't make much difference to me. I mean, being a colour guy on the TV is pretty easy because when you have the production meetings, you plan how you're going to do this and what segment you're going to do this on and what you're going to do in the segments and all that sort of stuff. Well, I don't have to bother that because I just have to talk about what's happening, what people see is happening, and why a driver would do what he did or did not do what they thought he should do or whatever. So there's no script. It's just all straight off the top of my head.
What's your favorite memory here?
I suppose my favourite memory here would have to be winning that Formula 5000 race back in 1969 because it was a bit of a last-minute addition to the series. I was already back home in England. I lived in England in those days because I lived here for 40 years now. And it was all so quick. Got on the plane, came over, flew into Orlando, got our luggage, drove over here. I stayed at Clayton's, a motel on 27th, and did practice, which in those days practice and qualifying were all the same thing. There was no qualifying. And luckily won the race. And actually we had the year-end prize giving down in the town at the American Legion. It was a little building opposite the Can-Am Hotel. I got my cup for coming second in the championship. And
To John Cannon.
went home. Tony Adamo.
Tony Adamo.
Yeah. Tony Adamo. He only won one race out of 14. I only did 7 of the
At
14.
Elkhart Lake.
And I won 3 of them. And he won at Elkhart Lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, David, congratulations.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And,
thanks, Steve. Yes.
Yeah, Jackie Eakes, yourself.
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite,
Walter Cronkite.
the voice of American News.
Yeah.
And
Stefan,
Andy
yeah.
Wallace.
Yeah.
And Stefan Johansson,
Yeah.
who's has his second career is so interesting with his involvement as a driver, manager, and everything he does on the kind of in the back scenes of the racing.
Well, he manages quite a few drivers, I believe. But the other thing is, he's turned into quite the artist.
Yes, that's true.
Now he has a big studio, so he's very busy doing a lot of painting. So, all power to him.
Yes.
Busy boy.
Well, congratulations, and hold on one second.
Hold on 1 second. He'll be back in a minute. Wait. Don't go. Don't. There's more. Wait, there's more.
Of course, the book.
The great
If you
book.
haven't gotten it, highly recommended.
You need it. You need at least one.
At least one.
And one as a gift for somebody else.
So, of course, he did make it to Sebring, perhaps. There will be other type opportunities for him to sign it at Road America, Elkhart Lake.
Yeah.
So, thank you for listening to Traction Reaction podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.